So I'm walking less and I'm training more. Let's see what I did with that water, man. I'm thirsty. And tomorrow I will be hitting another workout. My workouts don't look as impressive as I thought. Like when I look at myself moving, I'm like, oh my God, dude. And I think the reason for that, other than all the other factors, because I've been through this so many times, really comes down to the fact that I'm not taking in any carbohydrates. And people right now are going, oh, just jump to the sugar. Look, I've been looking into this. I'm telling you what makes a diet work is in one form a deficiency. So energy out, energy in. When you do more than when you're burning more than you're taking in, than you're yielding, that's a deficiency. That's a deficiency. Your body responds by losing weight. But you don't want it to lose the wrong weight, so you start to take in as many nutrients as you possibly can. And this really makes a huge difference. Like, I'll be the first to tell you, last year, my fucking skin was hanging off my face. I looked old as fuck or something wrong with me. Like, oh man, this can't be, wasn't what I was going for. You know? Skin hanging off my neck, under my chin, all over my face. It was like, well, you just lost 85 pounds. And it's like, but I lost 85 pounds. And when I was walking every day, I didn't look like that. Right? So your aesthetics, the way that you look, can really tell you a lot about how all your other organs are behaving. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to over preach it, but that's when I discovered beef liver. And I have been doing beef liver for a good long while now, good 5 weeks, and doing high dose vitamin C. And I'll tell you, my workouts, I'm at least doing them. I got to the place where I was so burned out, I couldn't even get out of bed for 3 months. So that is one of the things that happens when you think, right, from a very concrete, who thinks concrete? Right? They say children do, but it's really this infant way of thinking, to where I'm going to think this way and I'm not thinking any other way, and I put myself first because I trust myself. And what you just did is you reduced yourself and you accepted the reduction. So these people who have reduced themselves are actually, the perception is that they have the power, but they don't, and you know it and you feel it. You know that they don't have the power. In fact, they have zero power. You know where the power is, and you don't want to use it. And I've had these talks with many people where they're going, man, I feel the power. And then when you're talking to them, they're aware of what the power is. And that's where you get into things, where you realize there's a very uncomfortable thing happening here with what we term as spiritual energy. If Joe McGonigal can leave his body and remote view what's leaving the body, right? So this is a big area of conjecture. This gets into all things esoteric, all things arcane, but it gets into the tarot. It gets into a lot of Manly P. Hall's work, right? Astrotheology. I mean, it bridges across the board, but it even goes into business. Did you know that? You know, this whole thing with finding the zone, maintaining the zone, exercising your power, right? We can be these perambulating, bipedal human beings and assume ourselves as someone who ate enough calories. I'm going throughout my day. I'm going to my job. I'm going to do that for 30, 40 years. I'm not looking behind me. Life's boring, but I'm keeping a good functional process, being the best that I can. A Boy Scout, maybe, right? Maybe it's somebody who's following more a job that's more mathematical detail, right? Where they're actually an accountant, right? That would be the perfect job. Or somebody who kept the books for a large company, or even more so, like the state, right? By the way, did anybody see the interview with Gavin Newsom and Sean Ryan? God, that guy's a fucking piece of shit, isn't he? My God. You can't even look at that dude. He's like so dirty and vile. Like you can see just what a scumbag he is. Yeah, I don't like politicians. I do not like politicians. I can't think of one person. I mean, Leon Panetta's from this area. And people thought he was a real nice guy. And if you look into what the fuck he was into, my God. Look up Ben Bernanke. That's when they fucked everything up. It was in the 80s. And a lot of people don't equate this. They don't think about it. Like they don't go back to that whole Nixon thing, you know, the final depegging, you know, of the US dollar from any sort of treasury, taking all our rights away. I mean, that finally happened in like 71, you know. And then that leads directly into how we're being manipulated. And they straight up call us stupid. And we're like, no, we know more than we know about Bretton Woods. We know about cryptocurrency. We know what the fuck you're doing. No, you're dumb. It's this presupposition that you're just stupid. You want to know why we're stupid? Because we don't get the fuck up and kick these bozos out. Right? But then people have to have the forethought, the foresight of why am I doing this? What's it going to be like afterwards? And this is precisely what the Civil War was about. And my family, as I said before, came here on the U.S. Palatine. It wasn't the U.S. I mean, that was in the Palatine started in 1706. I think was the first run, or 1708. My family came on the third run. It was later. But there was all kinds of German slaves brought over here. And they came here. They came here in debt and stayed in debt. My family's been in debt since we got here. So what happened was somebody had to vouch to the captain of the ship. It was just this big fucking, I mean, you can't think of a better pyramid scheme, right? And do you want to know why they left Germany? Like my family specifically, Pfungstadt, right? Marsteller. The name can be traced back to von Marsteller, 1096, the Crusades. Yeah, crazy. And so you could look that up if you want to. In fact, on esotericprinciplesoflight.blogspot.com, I have links to all that stuff. But you should be studying your own family history and really try to dig in with ChatGPT. In fact, I have to go back. So it's been a couple weeks since I was discussing this with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT offered to send several emails out to get this information from Pfungstadt and from Iowa and from Pennsylvania, right? And you can do this. Like this is a thing now, and it doesn't cost you anything. And then when you run out of the services, you just wait a day and ask ChatGPT to continue. You know, you'll be downgraded to like whatever it is now, 4.0 or whatever, or lower. I don't know. I know that I get a lot out of it. And I also know that if you train ChatGPT initially and you spend that $20 or whatever it is for a few months, it will remember you. It'll act like it doesn't. But when you start having long talks about principle with ChatGPT, it will start to react and interact with you in ways that I've tried to tell people, look, check out Jason Riza Georgiani's article from 2 months about this, 2 months ago on Substack. Yeah, so things are not as they appear. So we'll be doing more working out tomorrow. We're going to be using the more professional sound equipment so that it still catches some background noise, but it's way clearer. But yeah, there's some guy that was working his fucking, weed whacker in the background, and it was like the whole time I was there. And so I don't necessarily like that park. It's extremely like ghetto all around there, but it's a beautiful park. If you look at my workout today, that I thought I was posting up on my fitness channel, it's a beautiful park. It's just dirty ass water from the ocean that sits there for God knows how long. But there's ducks and geese and lots of grass, but it just has a really bad vibe, bad energy. And a lot of that, a lot of the things that happened as we're beginning to become more aware of what really took place, right? Because like if you listen to Cliff High, which is somebody that it's tough to get through a lot of his stuff, it really is. And he'll admit that, right? But when you get down to what he's really talking about, like one of the last episodes that he did, which I think actually was from late last year, because there's a pirated channel on YouTube that takes all his stuff. I don't know if he just doesn't care. I've put that up there before. Other people have brought it up to his attention on Substack, but he's well-to-do, and I think he's just one of those dudes who really doesn't fucking want to get old. He doesn't want to look at himself in the mirror old. He doesn't know why the fuck he got old, and he's pissed off about it, And we're all in that boat where we realize that if I'm intellectual, if I begin to think, I'd no longer care about the superficial nuances. I'm really getting into the fabric, the network, the matrix of what nuance is, what I am as a nuance, and the grander scale, right? And really getting into codified number systems and memetics and how reality makes no sense and how it can be bent and how it's so malleable, right? And when you get into this type of stuff, you look up and you are older. It sucks the life force. It's like looking into all these depictions of like Pandora's box or what's that depiction of that woman who has, I've seen whole exposés on that shit. Medusa, right? But right? Medea, really it again, like a lot of biblical scripture, it's getting into talking about a peoples. You can look at this many different ways, but that's why I defer you to Jason Rizzo-Giorgiani, because it's like he really takes deep dives into things and will tell you exactly what their origin is. And even if he's wrong, he'll come up with these histories that are correct, and his postulation is open for argument. It's like he wants to talk to people who are willing to and able to go into a dialogue with him, But what happens is when you're too awake and then you blend it in with a little agenda, right? You have to start being honest with yourself. Like, have I boxed myself into an area where nobody can argue with me, right? And did I do this on purpose? Was I afraid of losing an argument about something that was so near and dear to me? So I'm going to be going and doing a little bit of, I'm hitting the skids right now and I'm carnivore empty. No, I'm not a carnivore crazy person, don't worry. I'm doing carnivore because it works, but I will defer you to Dr. Paul Saladino. He's a doctor, he knows his shit, and he really does recommend some amazing foods. And really what you look at is you start to see that the people who say the right things are telling you to go after the quality products, right? You don't focus on anything processed, and if people, but this really challenges the whole Dr. Kempner sugar diet, right? Because he's saying something that's very contrary to this, and actually, the whole idea of the rice and sugar diet was going alive and well all the way up into something like 2012. I think it was in Kansas, or you're gonna hear some bacon crackling here. And I just don't have the screen on right now because I've had the screen on all day, and it's like setting it up, putting it back, putting the sound bite on. I'll have better sound tomorrow. And I'll be showing some workouts tomorrow on the TRX, and I'll be going outside. Hopefully another nice day. It was rainy around here not too long ago in the Monterey Peninsula of California. This bacon smells bad, but you know, I think just about everything you get from Walmart, there's something fucked up with it, you know? I had to stop buying the cheaper beef patties simply because the shit was coming out of them as I was cooking them. And I was feeling sick, like whenever I wouldn't just like cook the hell out of them. Then I'd look at it and I'd be like, this looks like a piece, literally a little pile of shit, or like a hockey puck, a brown hockey puck that got dragged through the fucking snow and the dirt, you know? So I'm going for the Angus beef these days, and it's amazing. I end up eating far less. And honestly, I'm gonna tell you, I've had nothing but beef liver and a piece of Angus beef all day, and have been extremely satiated. And it is probably 9:30 here or thereabouts p.m. Pacific time, and I'm just eating some calories, and it's going to be this smoked hickory smoked bacon. And I would buy higher quality products if I could afford it, but I just can't. So that's the reason.